for celebrating the Defense and Martyrs Day of Pakistan. I'm Group Captain Azman, Air Attaché at the Embassy, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all on behalf of Ambassador of Pakistan, His Excellency Dr. Asad Majid Khan, Secretary of Defense for Indo-Pacific Security Affairs. So thank you very much for joining us today. I know you were stuck behind some Pakistan. And later on, we'll have few remarks from Defense Attaché, Ambassador of Pakistan, and our distinguished guests. So we'll begin the ceremony with the recitation of
Excellencies and honorable guests, a very good evening. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you on the Defense and Martyrs Day of Pakistan, military aggression from India. With scarcity of resources, but bravery and courage of our citizens, sepoys, sailors, airmen, we defeated the enemy. Not only this day, but throughout the history of Pakistan, the nation and the armed forces have stood together to meet various internal and external challenges faced by the country. In war on terror, Pakistan has stood as a frontline state. Our nation has suffered, but did not give in. This is an impressive story of supreme sacrifices. In ridding our country of the menace of terrorism, we have sacrificed over 82,000 lives. Many young men, women, and children have lost their lives. Such was the backlash from the terrorists that residential colonies, worship places, community centers, and educational institutions were attacked. Repression over Kashmiri people, spanning a period of over 7 decades, has broken all legal, moral, and humanitarian norms. This day marks the 31st day of lockdown of Kashmir and cutting off of all physical and communication linkages with the outside world. At this time of grave crisis, Pakistan Armed Forces stand with our Kashmiri brethren and support their struggle for the right of self-determination. I would take this opportunity to express that Pakistan and the United States have a historic bondage. Our defense relationship spans over decades, and there is particular warmth between both of our armed forces. Pakistan remains committed to peace in the region and beyond, and working together, our militaries can be a force of stability in the world.
To the resilience of the Pakistani people and the courage and sacrifices of our armed forces in defending the homeland against threats to Pakistan's independence and sovereignty. Throughout our history, Pakistan has confronted and overcome external aggression as well as terrorism and extremism. Indeed, since 2001, Pakistan and the United States have been partners in the war against terrorism. Because of our joint efforts, the threat that groups like Al-Qaeda once posed to peace and security is much diminished. At the same time, the security environment in Pakistan has also remarkably improved. The erstwhile tribal areas have been integrated into the political mainstream. In fact, the former FATA has just seen its first election. This has only been possible because of the sacrifices made by the armed forces and the law enforcement agencies of Pakistan. Last year, Pakistan has been supporting US efforts for achieving a peaceful political settlement in Afghanistan. As a result, there is today a real optimism about peace in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, just as there was hope for peace in the region, the news emerging from our eastern neighbor has been extremely distressing. As I speak to you, some 13 million Kashmiris remain imprisoned in their homes and cut off from the rest of the world. The beautiful Kashmir Valley has been transformed into a huge open-air prison. Despite making widespread arrests and deploying nearly 1 million troops, India has been unable to break the will of the Kashmiri people. Over 500 protests have been staged in occupied Kashmir since August 5, despite the armed siege and curfew. To remind the Kashmiri people that they are not alone, Pakistan is also observing this day as Kashmir Solidarity Day. While India continues to target civilians across the line of control, we have acted with great restraint and responsibility. However, there should be no doubt Pakistan and its armed forces stand ready to give a befitting response and defend the homeland if anyone dares to breach our sovereignty or territorial integrity. Distinguished guests, peace is a collective responsibility. For its part, Pakistan remains one of the largest troop contributing countries for UN peacekeeping operations around the world. Since 1960, when the first Pakistani UN contingent was deployed in Congo, Pakistan has contributed over 150,000 peacekeepers in 41 peacekeeping missions in 23 countries. We will continue to play our role for world peace. Meanwhile, strong and robust bilateral defense relations have been a hallmark of Pakistan-US relations. Our defense cooperation and collaboration has always been a factor for regional peace and the promotion of our shared security interests. Today, our defense forces are working together across a wide range of areas, from counterterrorism to intelligence sharing to maintaining freedom of navigation in the sea.
Kind invitation to help celebrate and note this important day. It's always a pleasure to be received and welcomed at your embassy, but particularly on this very special occasion. This is a time to celebrate the defense forces of Pakistan and your accomplishments. It's also, of course, a day to reflect on the sacrifices made, and including very much the shared sacrifices we've made as our two countries have been engaged in a long war on terror. So we honor that sacrifice and note Pakistan's very significant contributions there. This is also an exciting time in our relationship. We're coming off the heels, of course, of Prime Minister Khan's visit and General Bajwa's visit. I think that creates a good spirit and a good environment in our relationship, and hopefully opportunities that we can capitalize on. We're doing important work together. You mentioned several of the important initiatives and areas we're cooperating in. We're very appreciative of Pakistan's leadership in Combined Task Force 150 and the accomplishments there, including interdictions that probably deprive terrorists of close to $20 million of revenues, thanks to your good work and leadership, the work we're doing in the long war on terror, and particularly how we're cooperating and having successes against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And of course, you mentioned the very important work in trying to achieve peace in Afghanistan. We're indeed at a very critical juncture there, and we're hopeful, but we're not across the finish line yet, so we still want to be your partner in achieving those peaceful outcomes that we both want to see for the region. So we appreciate everything Pakistan has done to get us to this point, and we appreciate the cooperation that we know will continue going forward on that very important work. This is also a particularly interesting time, an important time for me as an assistant secretary. I'll be making my first visit in this job to Pakistan next week. I know when I told the ambassador I'm looking forward to going to Pakistan if you'll have me, if the timing's good, and his response was, it's about time. So it is about time, and I look forward to that, and my intent and our team's intent is to be aspirational. We have a strong foundation for this relationship. We are a bit we jealously guard our special role in this relationship between our defense establishments and our militaries. We think it is one of the strongest pillars and the foundation for the relationship, but our intent is to be aspirational and talk about where we can go in the future and how we can even strengthen and improve cooperation, all the challenges that we have notwithstanding. So it is about time, and I look forward to that visit, and we look forward to another successful year. So on this special occasion, on this solemn occasion, we're here today to honor the sacrifice and celebrate the occasion, and I join your good wishes for the United States-Pakistani friendship going forward. So thank you again for the invitation this evening.